Welcome to Hardcore Garage, where disco is king. Today, let's go remove a couple steering wheels.
Now this one obviously already has an aftermarket wheel on it. It's a LeCarra. And I want to put this red wheel on the red 93, so we're going to put a factory wheel back in here. First thing that you always do is remove the horn button, and I already done pried this one loose a little bit because it was a pain in the ass. And then you will disconnect your horn wire by pushing in and twisting just slightly. And it's spring loaded and will come right out. The next thing that you're going to do is there's a little metal clip in here that you're going to need to get out. Sometimes these can be a real pain in the butt. I usually use a flat blade screwdriver. There probably is a specific tool for this, but I don't have it. It pries right off. Set that to the side. It's not a 3/4. It's a 13/16. Somewhere along the line I had heard that you could use your lug wrench to remove the steering wheel. Well, that's not true because the lugs on an S10 are 3/4. Ratchet. I've got my wheel unlocked so I can kind of spin it around if I need to. Might be easier for you if you lock your wheel. Come on out of there. Now this wheel is a little different. I'm going to take this camera down and show you. Generally there is 2 screw holes down inside your hub to screw your wheel puller on. Well, this one doesn't have that. So I don't know. I can't remember. You know, honestly, in the past, we usually just beat these off with our forearms. I know you can bend a wheel doing that, but I think that you may be able to hook the puller over the edge here. We will try it. Look, I got another buddy here trying to help me out. Yeah, my cats love me. So I'm going to try to pound on this just for a second and see if it moves. If it doesn't, then I will try to wrap the puller clear around the outside. I do not like that idea because it will be touching the wheel, but we'll see what happens. So I found my pullers. But I'm telling you what, it's been a long time since I've done this because this is not going to work either. The only way this will work is if I take the wheel completely off of the hub. And I've never done that before. So now I'm kind of perplexed here for a minute. I'm going to go back to the hammer method for a minute. And I'm going to tap lightly. I got a smaller hammer this time. And I'm going to put my pressure from my knee and my hand on this wheel as I tap slightly on the center and see if I can get it to move at all. Pow! There it was. I don't feel like that really damaged anything. We'll put the screw back on here just to make sure. Yep, the screw goes back on fine, so we're good there. One of these times we have to make a rebuilding the column or changing your ignition switch. Would be a nice video to make. But yeah, so the wheel is off. You pretty much seen the trials and tribulations that I went through. Still didn't take very long just to figure it out. You do not want to slam a hammer into this and flatten the tip of this out. You'll never be able to get a screw back on there. Whenever I go to take the wheel off of the 93, you'll see there is 2 threaded holes that the puller will go into, and the other wheel will just crank off with a wrench. So here's the wheel I'm putting back in here. I just now noticed that it does not have a horn wire, so I'm going to need to find me one of those. If anybody got one, I'll buy it. Line up your splines and your horn. Put your bolt back on. That's on far enough. It doesn't feel like it's going on all the way, but I think this may pull it down when I tighten. That's an awful big steering wheel. Dusty too. All right, let's remove this wheel and get a little nicer one in here. Pop your horn button off. Really carefully. Reaching in here to try to get this wire off can be fun. A lot of fun sometimes. Because I got little fingers, but they ain't that little. So, we'll just pull that wire off for now. Get our screwdriver in here. I wish you guys could see this a little better. That's how I get this clip off. Pull this off. Now this one, we will do the correct way. Got my puller over here, so what we really need to do, this is a different type of puller than I showed you before. You can see the two threaded holes down in there. The bigger hole is for your horn. And I'm not sure what that other hole is. But those two straight across from each other are where your puller goes. Screws go right down in there. It's extremely hard to do stuff looking through a camera. Then this guy would go on. And your other screw goes through this hole. You screw those down fairly tight. You want to make sure you get a good grip. And when you start spinning this right here, which is a 5/8, it pushes against the center lug, which isn't in this wheel now because it's part of the truck. But anyway, that's how a puller works, and it just uses pressure to pull the wheel right off. Very neat. That looks more like it. Now everything's going to be flat against the back here. Pretty important to get your screws in there fairly the same. You don't want this thing tilting at all when it's trying to pull the wheel. I probably could have already had this off of here with a hammer. Yeah, I know. Do it right. Unless you can't. There we go. Now let's see what happens. There it goes. Pulled her off that easy. Pull her back in the bucket. Steering wheel out of the way. Now we can get this other little springy thing, and I can use that for the other wheel, so that's nice. The new one has one built in. It's going to be a lot smaller wheel. Again, we line the splines up, get your horn sleeve there lined up, and we're in. We go back with our bolt. There probably is a torque spec for that. Look it up. Even with small hands. There we go. We're back in business. Put our horn button in here. There's a little notch in there and a little notch on this black plastic thing that's got to go in there and twist. There we be. This wheel has these little clips. Sometimes they're hard to get in here. There we go. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put a horn or a sticker on this. I never have had one before, but I don't know. I like my red wheel. One thing that is nice about the S10 and having that horn hole or whatever you want to call it there is it is impossible to get your steering wheel on incorrectly and not clocked properly. And you do see that on some of the other vehicles. I've only really done S10, so I don't know if that's just missing on some of these other vehicles or people are just idiots. But there you go. Well, I hope you guys could see that and it wasn't too blurry. I had to do it in selfie mode so I could really see what I was doing. I can't get the camera far enough away in regular mode to do what I want to do. So it only took, what, 10 minutes or something to pull one off of one and put another one on. I mean, so that's one of the easiest things that you can do is a steering wheel modification. So go get some.